company, I'm pictures and his numbers. And that's how we've always sort of made it work. And we've built an incredible team, both here and in Israel, that has really helped us grow that. We have a simple philosophy. We're the yes company in a no environment. Nearly every time we partnered with a retailer, we said yes to everything that they wanted. Because bottom line, we couldn't afford not to. We compete against Procter & Gamble, we compete against L'Oreal, we compete against some of the world's greatest companies, and we sometimes even beat them. And the way we've done that is by giving better margins to our retailers, partnering with them better, and being friendly. You know, our retailers hate it when they meet Procter & Gamble. One comes with a folder, the other one comes with a folder. I come with an iPad, wearing this, jeans and a t-shirt, and we go in there and we smile and we take them out and we have a good time. Business is about relationships, and that's how we built that. Very Israeli way of doing business. And what we did from day one was we set up our seed fund, which helped people around the world develop. When we first started with our seed fund, we gave money to everybody that made us cry. So in Israel, we funded an after-school care day program for Ethiopian children right near Ramat Gan and Bnei Brak, where Ethiopian children would come after school. Their parents were great parents but didn't have a formal education, so they couldn't help them with their maths homework or English homework. And I met this wonderful woman at a slow food resort in the north of Israel, and literally she started talking to me and made me cry. The next day we wrote a check and we now fund that entire project. Today we've taken that a little bit further, particularly here in LA. We started a project where we're planting gardens in schools throughout LA. We just took the project national, and we've set up a young Hollywood board where we've got 12 of the most beautiful young Hollywood celebrities, from Nicole Richie, Rosario Dawson, Amy Smart, Emmanuel Shrieky from Entourage, Sloan from Entourage, to really help us deliver that message. So as we've grown, we've got a wonderful family. There's yes to carrots, yes to cucumbers, yes to tomatoes. We make hair, lip. Who wants a lip balm? I think I have. Who wants my keys to my car? You can throw one if anyone falls asleep in your presentation.
They will.
Who wants a pomegranate? Yes to carrots, conditioning lip butter with SPF 15. Oh, that was like the guy that catches the ball in baseball when the kid's reaching for it. So our products are sexy. They look good. The directions on our shampoo. Shampoo daily on wet hair while singing. Do you know how many emails we get? Dear Yes to Carrots team, love your shampoo. It works if you don't sing. We've built a loyal customer base now where we've got hundreds of thousands of people on our database. We call them carrot lovers. We've got an even smaller group, which we call VICs, very important carrots. Every quarter, I have a conference call with them where every single one of our customers can call in and ask any question they want. You know, it's amazing when you talk to your customers how great that can be. This is what we look like at Walgreens. This is Walgreens Times Square. We're starting to roll these out throughout the country. I'd like to say that all of our Walgreens stores look like that. They don't. But in Europe, much like Delta, we've crossed that retail divide. We go from high-end prestige, drugstore food. We've been able to cross that boundary. In Europe, this is in Sephora. That's actually in Sephora in Milan. We did an exclusive deal with Sephora in 13 countries in Europe. We're now their #1 selling natural beauty brand. And for the first time in the history of Sephora, a body product has made it into their top 10 selling units in their entire history, which is our Yes to Carrots body butter. We will probably be we've just been told that we're going to be one of the top 6 focus brands for Sephora for the next 36 months. So we're going to be growing that relationship and building that even further. When we go into a trade show, we go big. This is one of the greatest things about Israel. A big trick. You want to build a kick-ass trade show booth? Somebody here in America quotes you $300,000. Get an Israeli company to design it, build it in Hungary, ship it here, and it'll cost you $40,000. And that booth generated us about $8.5 million worth of business in 2 days. And then there's our seed fund, and we get to, the nice thing about the seed fund, we get to give back, and Lance and I get to hang out with very good-looking celebrities. So, very simple, how we grew so fast. We understood our limitations, we ignored them, and we do whatever it takes to get it done. Don't you love it when you go from Mac to PC, it screws everything up? Unbelievable. So, that being said, I'm going to hand it over to my esteemed business partner, Lance, to talk about why Israel, or maybe why not.
Correct. Thanks, Edo. What I'm going to do is talk a little bit about our roots. Starting in Israel was an important thing for us. We're coming from all different countries in the world, but it was a key point that being in Israel was one of the main reasons for us to get to where we got to. And these are some of the reasons why. First of all, everybody knows who spent any time in Israel, there's this yes attitude. It's a never say die attitude. From all aspects of life, these were the type of people that we wanted to employ, and this is what we needed to make that extra difference. Being in Israel gave us the opportunity to hire young, educated, and hungry for success, and most importantly, affordable talent. There is just a whole pool of people our age, and I don't know if anyone knows, we never actually said how old we are. Ido and I are both 32 years old. We looked for particular people who could had the experience of living overseas, had the experience of working overseas, and could, from a small place in Israel, be able to travel and help us develop what we believed was a unique brand and take that global. And we were able to do that at a very affordable cost. For instance, we have people moving from Israel to the US, all of a sudden, our cost of doing business and our cost of hiring people probably doubled. So you can get the same talent in Israel than you can in America for practically half the price. Startup costs. Startup costs in Israel are very affordable. We started, as Ida was saying, in a factory that was probably the size of this stage, and in an office that was even smaller. That gave us a great opportunity to be able to make the type of margins that could price our products competitively in the markets like the US. Trading relationships. Israel is unique from the point of view, it has free trading relationships with both Europe and America. And that's quite unique from a lot of the countries that one can start developing businesses in. That's a real opportunity when it comes to duty, customs, and when you're playing with products that are retailing at $10 to $20. In fact, we go from about $3 to our most expensive products, which is about $17. That 5% here and that 1% here makes a huge difference. And finally, being a big player in a small country. A lot of people haven't heard of us here. In Israel, we were able to very quickly, and as we said, we've been in business for 3 years, we were able to go from a very small player to one that all the vendors and the contract manufacturers, all the raw material suppliers suddenly took notice of. So you could start to get the special discounts, the better service, and you can use a lot more chutzpah to get what you want very quickly. And last, but probably most importantly, it was lifestyle. When we started this business, I was married and I had 2 children, and Ida was single. And no matter what I did, there was no ways I was going to convince him to move out of Tel Aviv. So we ended up starting the business there. Yes to the USA. About 2 years ago, we decided to go on a capital raising. This was primarily, our business was booming in the US. We had finished our exclusivity with Walgreens. We were being approached by Target, Rite Aid, Duane Reade, and all these other major retailers. And Ido and I, working out of Israel, I had relocated from Sydney to Israel, and Ido was basically living on El Al, spending probably every second week in the US. It was becoming very clear that we needed the right strategic partners, and we needed to be here in the USA. So we undertook a capital raising with Bank Hapoalim and William Blair, and we brought in 2 private equity firms. Both firms were a great fit for us, and using Bank Hapoalim, who also ended up investing and are a small shareholder in our business, we were able to raise over $14 million, and that allowed us the expansionary capital necessary to headquarter the business in America. So as I said, 80% of our business at that time and growing is in the USA. So it made sense for us to move the headquarters and the main operations to the US, but we still today maintain a big office in Tel Aviv. We do all of our manufacturing for the European markets and other international markets in Israel, and we do a lot of the R&D, the marketing, and tons of the innovation that's coming out of Tel Aviv. One of the other reasons we had to move was basically we started to outgrow the manufacturers in Israel. Economic-wise, when 80% of your business is in Israel and you are shipping cosmetics, which are liquid-based, we went past the days of using El Al freight, and we needed to start producing closer to home. When you're dealing with customers like Walgreens and they place an order, they wanted the order the next day. They couldn't care about, well, it's going to take 60 days for me to get the product on the ship and then 30 days on the ship, etc. So it was vital that we quickly got the products moved over and the manufacturing over to America. And finally, one of the things that definitely needs work in Israel and that helped us in our move to America was a more developed financial system in America. When we did our capital raising, we had about 12 term sheet offers from different private equity firms, but 11 of them all came from the US. And they were all consumer-focused and specialized funds. Unfortunately, the one actually was Shamrock, so that was the one Israeli, but there isn't a plethora of Israeli consumer-focused private equity funds, or at least that that we worked with, and this was definitely an advantage to being in America. Also, any of you have ever worked with banks in Israel? It can be challenging at the best of times. I am still waiting to transfer money to Ido's bank account because the fax didn't go through to the banker. I'm sure many of you have dealt with that before. And ease of doing business. It's a little bit easier to do business in America. You've got to be a special type of person to do business in Israel. But once you get it, you learn a lot of lessons and a lot of attitude that definitely pays dividends in doing business around the world. And the last but most important one, of course, was Ido got married about 2 years ago. So he gave up on that desire to stay in Tel Aviv, and I think his wife also didn't want the temptation to carry on. So that was one of the main reasons for us to move.
So just to end off, I hope this is working. Pierre, is this working now? So, finally, I guess it's to let our carrots speak for themselves.
People often ask me, what's so great about carrots? Well, I never thought about it much, but let me try to explain. Carrots wear green, furry hats. We look like tiny baseball bats. Listen to these important stats. 32 calories and 0 fats. Now here's some fun facts. Chock full of beta-carotene, more popular than the lima bean. Make your skin look peachy keen. What else could you ask of your cuisine? Well, guess what? Carrots wrote the Constitution, we did, and the theory of evolution. We prevent electrocution, believe that love is the solution. We fought in the French Revolution, escaped a mental institution. Now let's pass a resolution and proclaim with elocution. Let's hear some noise pollution, shout there is no substitution. No substitution for the carrot contribution. Carrot power! Happy National Carrot Day, everybody!
So to sort of end that note, one of the main reasons we moved to the US, February 3rd, mark it down on your calendars, is the official National Carrot Day, which is a real holiday here in America. How could we not be here? Thank you very much.
We're now going to start something of a panel discussion, and until I see Sharona tell me otherwise, we will keep going. So we'll try to keep this for about 5 minutes or so. So we live in a world where consumers buy brands, and you all have some very sort of creative, high-end products that you've shared with us today. And I think you've all given us examples of how sort of innovation has played a key role in your company's success. So this first question is for Igal. Igal, when you are evaluating companies, particularly sort of consumer products companies, what are examples of innovation that you look for and value?
Well, I think it's important to point out Shamrock has historically not been an investor in venture stage companies. There are a lot of people in this room that do a much better job at seeking, looking for, and identifying companies like SanDisk, for example. So historically, Shamrock's invested in low-tech, traditional industry companies. And I think it's safe to say that what Ellie said, that good ideas are sort of a dime a dozen. And so we typically, or Shamrock has typically looked for small innovations that might provide a head start or some sort of an advantage. But the key is in the execution. It really is. I mean, these guys have done a great job. It could be in the use of a new ingredient, new or unique ingredient, or it could be the use of existing ingredients in new and innovative ways. The guys to my right have done a great job at that. And it's all about the execution. It's all about the distribution partnerships that you have globally, or at least in multiple countries outside of Israel. Nearly impossible to build a business that has substantial value if, I would say, more than 50% of your revenue base is dependent on Israel. Shamrock's typically looked at the application of military technologies for civilian uses, or things that may have started out. There's a company in its current portfolio called Xilinx, which developed rugged headsets which are being used and deployed by special ops forces in the US, in Australia, and Canada. And they've been approached, and so this is a relatively small part of the business, but now they've been approached by companies like Oakley or others that are looking at ways to transform those applications for civilian use, for something that would be a combination headset, sunglass type of product.
Made in Israel, for me, has always connoted quality. In addition to quality, what does or should Made in Israel stand for? And Isaac, if you could answer that first, that would be terrific.
In my mind, it's really all about innovation. You know, Israel costs today are much higher than Southeast Asia or China for that matter. So we produce products in Israel that are very technological, very innovative, very equipment needed, and products that really we cannot produce elsewhere and are very difficult to produce elsewhere. We've tried many products to move overseas, and when you start moving overseas, your quality goes down, your failure rate goes down. So for us, what we produce, about 7-8% of our total product in Israel, it's all the high-end product, the Adlo product, the socks for Nike, etc.
Yeah, I think for us, I couldn't agree more. I pretty much reiterate those words. The other thing that Israel does give you, particularly in the consumer world, is the opportunity to develop and to test. It's a lot easier to test in a smaller market environment like Israel, where you have such a multicultural and multifaceted population, before you then expand that out to a crazy market like the US. So Israel gives, by producing in Israel, you're able to get that innovation, and you're able to take that innovation and quickly figure out whether that's something that the market's willing to bear.
We've got one last question, and it's going to speak to challenges. You all are in different product and business life cycles. In addition to expanding your sort of global presence, what are some of the challenges that you face in order to get to that next level of success that you all have targeted for your companies? And maybe Lance, you can start us off.
For us, the first challenge was obviously moving from what was a small, comfortable base in Israel and moving to a headquarter of the business in the US, also moving a large amount of the operations to the US. That was a major challenge for us, but one that was very necessary. For us, that combined with the financial requirements of the company. We were very happy to stay in Israel, but for instance, we have, as I was saying in our presentation, you have retailers and customers that are very demanding and really couldn't care about your inventory requirements. They just want next day orders. To continue to continue manufacturing in Israel is a tough thing. In fact, we had something like 180-day cash conversion cycles. And when you're a small company that's growing as fast as we were, that wasn't something that was sustainable. So we quickly had to sit down, go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, how can we take what we have and reproduce that same success, that same innovation, that same quality, and the same cost of goods? Because one of the great advantages of being in Israel was, in particular, when you have Dead Sea elements in the business, and we were sourcing product from organic Israeli farmers. How do we recreate that at the same price, the same quality in America? And that was a big challenge, and that continues to be a challenge as we expand in the worldwide. We're in 30 countries today. We're now being chased and looking very strategically at Japan and other countries in South America and Europe. As we expand with Sephora, we have to think how we meet those manufacturing requirements.
My biggest challenge, really, I'm new at Delta, only there for the last 2 years or so, is really to convert a company that's a manufacturing-oriented company that produces for private label to a branded company, which is really a much more profitable segment where we're in control of our own destiny and really to open more retail stores worldwide. So.
Well, I wish we could have more time, but there are many more important presentations and panels for you to see. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
They're not more important. They're just other chapters of the story of companies that come out of Israel. And I want to thank our panels for helping us understand where we have to go shopping this weekend and what we need to buy. With that, I'd like to bring up Ishar Shai. Thank you. Again, a resounding applause for our consumer products.
Thank you.
We are continuing. We are with our fast and cool track. And just a quick question: how many of you, because of your business assignments, have to travel more than once a month? Raise your hands. More than once a year? Okay, for those of you who have this feeling sometimes when you go into an airport, you have to open your briefcase in order to understand where in the world you are, where are you traveling to, and why. Here's a solution. This is a company that I find it pretty easy to present just because I'm carrying the product on my BlackBerry for quite some time now. They are the helpful tool you will be looking for when making plans for your next trip. Please welcome Nadav, CEO of WorldMate.
Okay, start. Number 4. So hopefully, okay, now you can hear me. Oops. Here. We'll start with the clip. In our clips, no one takes off their clothes. See this while someone over there tries to fix it.
So this exemplifies when you're traveling and you don't know where to go. So, and
So how many of you have found this familiar? Okay, quite a few. So this is going to be a panel about mobile. And because everyone here probably knows or will hear so much about mobile, let's talk about travel for a second. It's big business. Travel is the world's largest section of GDP. It's a huge industry. There's lots of money changing hands. And much of that money goes to the middlemen, the people between us and the hotel we choose to stay in, the flight we choose to take, the car we choose to hire, and so on. So many different brands. Just look at the brands on the bottom of this slide and ask yourself, how many of them did not exist just 10 years ago? Travelers need mobile technology. Travelers have always been the early adopters of mobile technology, be it laptops, be it smartphones, be it Blackberries, iPhones, whatever. So that's very simple to understand, right? You leave your office, you leave your home, you want something that connects to the world you leave behind you, both because you want to remain connected and you want to be able to get the information and the transactional capabilities while you're on the move. Just to prove that, okay, maybe some of you know this person. What do? We facilitate the following. Let's imagine the device you are carrying in your pocket right now could automatically read the confirmation emails that you get from your travel agent, airline, car rental, whoever, build your travel itinerary and put it in your pocket. Remind you when you need to check in, remind you when you need to leave for the airport, tell you if your flight's indeed on time or not, or if you can actually wait and not go to the airport, or if you need a solution because something is missing or because you need to get somewhere and you don't know how to get there. What if the device in your pocket could do all of that? Well, that is what we call a mobile personal travel assistant, or for short, that is what we call WorldMate. So the WorldMate mobile experience includes all of the above, everything I talked about. Your full travel itinerary automatically generated, automatically on your phone. Flights, hotels, cars, meetings, addresses, locations, maps, status, all of them in there. Push messages when just you need to a reminder that you're going tomorrow and you need to pack something warm because it's cold in London. Push messages when your flight's delayed or canceled and you need to find an alternative or just leave later. The ability to search and book flights, hotels, cars, maps, directions, getting you from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the meeting, from the meeting to the next one. Local search, because at the end of your business day, I think you're going to be hungry and you'll want a restaurant or a taxi, or you'll want to go shopping to get something for whoever you left behind. Connectivity to your social network, such that you know who else is coming to this conference that you can meet and close a deal with that you didn't even know was coming. And the whole host of different tools that you'll need while traveling, from currencies, weather, to directories, and so on and so forth. All of this in one application, in one place on your smartphone. And it doesn't end with your smartphone, because like every strong mobile digital experience, the experience has to extend from a small device that you carry in your pocket to the larger device that you're holding in your hand, whether it's because you're now in your hotel room, in the lounge, to what you use on the desk in your office. It needs to be one continuum. So the WorldMate web application takes that itinerary, takes all that information, presents it in a way that it helps you plan your trip, view everything on a map, see what you're missing. You still need a hotel reservation, or you're missing ground transportation, and suggests how to complete your plans while you're stationary. As a company, we are the established market leader. We've just recently announced several very interesting relationships in the travel industry. American Express and Carlson Wagon Lee, who together form more than 50% of the managed business travel industry. They work with corporations to book travel. Travelport, who powers about a third of that business, and many smaller travel brands. And our heritage and the industry that we were born in, the mobile industry, so people like RIM, Nokia, HP, Motorola, Sony Ericsson, all pre-install WorldMate on the devices. So in this growing category, we're certainly the big dog. So just to kind of summarize in 60 seconds, mobile is a new factor in an old industry. Travel is an old industry, an established industry that was really disrupted considerably 10 years ago, 15 years ago with the advent of the internet. We saw all these new brands that just didn't exist and now control travel. Mobile is the next wave of technology that is going to disrupt this industry again. And we are really the company who is, I think, the vision leader, the thought leader, and with 5.5 million registered users worldwide, probably also the market leader. And one last thing before you clap. So to give you a reason to clap, my email is below. A premium subscription, a gold level membership to WorldMate for free to everyone here, because we like our fellow Israelis and Israeli friends. Just send me an email. Now you can clap.
Thank you, Nadav. I really appreciate your deep involvement, and we'll put that up on the Israel Conference website so that you'll all know. If you heard a snippet about WorldMate, you'll know to go and find out a lot more about WorldMate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bravo. Now, along the lines and the theme of mobile, with WorldMate starting us off on this travel, we're going to bring up our mobile panel now, and we call this Disruptive Mobile, because our lives are becoming crazier and crazier. I don't know about you, but I use my mobile to be a flashlight on the stairs in my home at night so I don't turn on the lights to disturb the other family members. I admit that I keep it on my pillow just in case some important news flash should come across. So mobile is incredibly important. We have today, and we're very fortunate to have the market leaders in mobile with us here at the Israel conference so that you can learn that mobile comes deeply from Israel and it affects our lives throughout the world. And we're very delighted to know that we have on the panel with us today the co-founder of Marvell, which has over 1,200 employees in Israel, demonstrating that they love the knowledge that comes out of the country, and we all love the technology that comes with it. We have Qualcomm, who also has a great campus and great activity, and we know that Qualcomm is wonderful for mobile. We have NTT Docomo, which all of you have heard of and know about and enjoy. We have the president of NTT Docomo USA. And all of you who have used BlackBerries, we have BlackBerry's Partner Fund, which is the enabler for BlackBerry to keep doing the magic that it does. And leading us off is an industry expert, Levi Shapiro from TNT Strategic Advisors. And with that, let's take a tour on our mobile phones and mobile electronics. Welcome, panelists.
Okay, good afternoon. I promise that if you guys ask questions, because I have an open mic policy, that we'll finish a couple minutes early and get you to lunch. Is that a deal? Wait, I can't promise that.
I just want to make one mention. Because sometimes it's good to know where you're going in mobile. Right after this panel, we have something extraordinary. It's our secret speaker. It's brief, it's fantastic, and it's a great thing to have right before we break for lunch. And in the afternoon, we've got some dynamite activity taking place as well. So be sure to stay after this panel for something you won't want to miss. It's awesome, and last year we had a surprise speaker and it knocked the socks off of everybody, and this year you're in step for something just as great. With that, take it away.
Sure. Okay, so for the next 45 minutes, we're going to take a deep dive into mobile, and we're going to begin with 5-minute presentations from each of the panelists. We'll ask 1 or 2 questions, but what we'd really like is to sort of crowdsource the questions. Hopefully 300 people can ask better questions than just myself. So we're going to begin with Wei-Li Dai, founder of Marvell. Could you tell us sort of your vision?
Sure. Good afternoon. Shalom, just so to make sure I can speak some Hebrew. I'm so happy to be here today. Just a quick introduction of my company. Company was founded 15 years ago. Worldwide, we have about 6,000 employees. Israel is our second largest R&D center in the world. We have about 1,200 people. Today, Marvell is the top 5 fabless semiconductor in the world. We do about $3 billion revenue a year. We have technology pretty much everywhere. You can see whether or not the big Cisco system or the BlackBerry of the world got our technology. Xbox, Microsoft, the PCs. So just name a few. The best way to describe us, we are the one-stop shop as a semiconductor total solution providers. With that, I'd like to just dive into what I envision what's coming up in this exciting mobile and consumer of the world. If you look at the, I'm sure many of you remember early 2000 when everyone can, do internet and search data. Last decade was very exciting, internet information. But what I see is moving forward for the next decade is all about access live contents through any type of devices, we call it connected devices. And of course, the mobility of the smartphone of the world, the tablet type, all those gonna be the key device where you essentially have the main information. And then with that, it's gonna be address the mobility of anywhere, any size, any contents, meaning when you walk into this room in the future, this gonna be digital wall, we call it, where whatever you do on your little device, and you can seamlessly display and do anything on a bigger screen. Same thing home or in your car. So essentially, you have the live data, live contents, and be able to, rather than just access data, you actually have 3D, you have very sophisticated video technology. Like today, you have to buy real high-end TVs. Tomorrow, it's gonna be smart display. And all you need is a smart display, and you have a Google here, Hulu advertisement, and you seamlessly display on the big TV screen or LCD, and that's your advertisement, right? So it's how we experience so-called our lifestyle has changed. We all call always on consumer now. I'm sure many of you, if you miss your phone somewhere, do you feel like something missing? I mean, I do, right? If I don't have my phone, and then I feel like something missing. So that's gonna be the future. What does it mean? That means billions users around the world all need these type of devices. As a semiconductor leaders, as a total solution providers, not only today we develop the best video technology, the graphics, the modem, the processors, storage technology, all of those, but we have other responsibility as well. So Marvell, we are also focusing on how do you develop technology. It's the best of the best, meeting such a requirement of carrying live content and be able to address anywhere, any size, any type of format. But also, it's very important for us to make the solution very efficient. Has to have a very long battery life. How do we save the energy, right? I'm sure each of you today, when you go home and you plug these devices into the wall, and it consumes a lot of energy. Now, how do you develop technology that it can really carry the future of the energy consumption? So this is something my company are very, very focused as well. And then at the same time, how do we make it so affordable? So each of you guys and billions users around the world can have these type of devices and yet very affordable. So these are the little subtle pieces that we are very focused, and but very happy to report Marvell today is a one-stop shop, and the future vision is all about live content. We are all always on consumer. Thank you.
Maeda-san?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you know NTT Docomo. That's a lot that don't know NTT Docomo. So Maeda-san, that's your chance.
Thank you. Thank you very much for invitation this event. My name is Maeda, Masaki Maeda, the President and CEO, NTT Docomo USA, based in New York. I'm very surprised so many people know the Docomo's name. The Docomo is a Japanese unique company and #1 cellular phone provider in Japan. Actually, I would like to explain Docomo USA. We based in New York, very close to Grand Central, and we taking care of the Japanese companies working in North America. Toyota, Honda, are many Japanese companies. We take care of the such solution or mobile solution for them. As you may know, Japanese mobile market is we have almost half of market share, 50%. We have 56 million subscribers. Our competitor to the SoftwareBank and au, and as you can understand the graph, number of mobile subscriber is reaching to the saturated in same as maybe Israel and USA. That is, we have to go outside of Japan, or we have to go another area like machine to machine, the security or some industrial one or vehicle. I would like to explain our very unique service, the mobile banking, mobile wallet service. If you go to the Tokyo, you can see very easily the people can use the cellular phone as a wallet. It's non-contactless IC, NFC function, and people can use this wallet, just touch to the registers like this. And we consolidate these functions to one NFC, for example, online shopping or credit card, shopping, and transportation ticket, like airline ticket or commuter train ticket. You can enter the cellular phone, check in to the airline, for example, Tokyo to Osaka. Or even in a member's card, maybe your wallet has a many members' card, right? And we can consolidate these members' card into one NFC card. We call it Osaif Keitai. Osaif means a wallet. Keitai is a cellular phone. People use almost 80% of the cellular phone equipped this function. And people use in the convenience store or some department store or restaurant. It is one of another business model, mobile banking, new partnership possibility. We make a joint venture with McDonald's and Docomo. As this figure shows, McDonald's, if people come to the McDonald's store, if pay by cellular phone, you can get